Hey guys, how's it going? Justin here with Keystone Mountain Outdoors. So as you guys can see, the XL750 looks quite a bit different than it did in our first video on it, the first impression / unboxing video. What we're going to be doing in today's video is going over all the accessories that I have on it and basically showing you guys how I have it set up. There are still a few things that I am kind of looking into getting. However, for the time being, and probably for a little bit of time at least, this is how I have my 750 set up. So if I make additions in the future, maybe we'll come back and do a follow-up video. But as of May 2020, this is how I have it set up, and this is how I plan on keeping it set up at least for a good while. So without further ado, let's flip the camera around and we'll look at each of these individually and kind of go over them. Alright guys, so the first accessory we're going to talk about is the case feeder. In my opinion, if you're going to add any accessory to the 750, it should be the case feeder. Like, that's the #1 accessory you should get for your 750. Can you run the press without the case feeder? Absolutely. They give you the tube so you could throw a couple 9mm cases or whatever caliber you're loading in here, and you can throw a couple cases in there, load progressively, and then refill it as it goes. However, the case feeder is just so nice. It's just a great convenience. And honestly, the way the 750 is set up with the case insertion over here on the right side and the back, I really think that this press kind of should come with a case feeder. I understand why they sell it separately to keep the cost down, especially for those guys that aren't going to run the case feeder. But really, if you're buying a 750, you're going to want the case feeder. And yeah, it's a great addition. It's about $300 with the plate. However, that's not terrible. It's cheaper than the Hornady case feeder is. And the different shell plates, they have small pistol, large pistol, small rifle, large rifle. They're typically around $40, $45, maybe a little bit less. You might be able to get them in the 30s. But yeah, like I said, they only have 4, so depending on what calibers you're loading, you're going to need the different plates for it. But yeah, it works really good. This one's variable speed. I did a whole video on the case feeder, so we're not going to go on too long about it. But yeah, really do like the case feeder. So the next accessory we're going to talk about is the strong mount. The strong mount is basically a way to mount the press up. Now be aware there are a couple different strong mounts. You could get the one for the 650, 750, which is a little bit smaller, or you could get the regular strong mount. Now basically the big difference is how high you want to raise it. The XL 650, 751 raises it enough to where you can mount the press further in, and it still keeps it relatively short. The reason why they have the 650, 751, you can use both of them on the 750, but the reason why they offer both of them is because this one's shorter, so guys like me that are running case feeders, it gives you more clearance up here if you're running into issues with clearing your ceiling and stuff like that. So yeah, the strong mount is really good. A lot of other people really like the inline fabrication. They're both pretty popular. The inline gives you the advantage of quick change plates, so you could change out your press. It's also built a little tougher, but this mount is super solid. You don't really need anything anymore. And if you're not going to move your presses around, I really do like the Dillon. #1, it looks good. #2, it allows you to add accessories, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Maybe the bullet tray, but it also just like works and it does the job, and it's a fraction of the cost. This is about $50 or $60, somewhere in that ballpark. I think I paid like $52 or something. But it's a lot cheaper than inline. Inline, you're going to be spending $70, $80, plus you're going to have to buy a quick change plate and all that different stuff. So you're going to be spending a fair bit more. And if you want to run a bullet tray with the inline system, you're going to have to buy a $20 adapter to be able to run a bullet tray. So it's about double the cost to set the mount up with a bullet tray with the inline. And being that I'm not going to move the press around, I decided to go with the strong mount. So yeah, the next thing we'll talk about is the bullet tray. So let me position the camera around and we'll talk about that. Alright guys, so as I said, the next thing we're going to talk about is the bullet tray. The bullet tray is an accessory that relies on another accessory. Again, you're going to need your strong mount to use it. You could also use it with inline, but like I said, you got to get that $20 adapter because inline doesn't have they don't have the holes in their mount like the strong mount does. But yeah, so the bullet tray is a nice feature because it puts the bullets right here. If you're going to raise your press up and you're going to use a strong mount, you're going to want the bullet tray. And the bullet tray honestly is a big chunk of the reason why I even got a strong mount, because if you guys remember, I had this press mounted to my bench directly, but I decided to cut my bench down and shorten it, and I made some modifications to it, but I also added the strong mount and the bullet tray. The big advantage to the bullet tray is it puts the bullets right here. It's also a nice addition to the press. It looks good, and then even if you end up getting a bullet feeder like I may in the future, it gives you somewhere to put your left hand, and you can get some good torque. I don't know. A lot of guys really like to do that, myself included. So yeah, the bullet tray is definitely a nice feature. These are going to run you ballpark $40 to $50, maybe a hair over 50. But yeah, definitely a great accessory to add to your press. Alright guys, so the next accessory we're going to talk about, you guys may not be able to see right now, but now you should. So what we're going to talk about now is the KMS Squared UFO light. So there's a lot of different lighting systems for the Dillon XL750. You know, a really popular one would be the inline one that drops in the top here. There are a bunch of them that drop in the top through the center hole, and they all work pretty good. However, you have wires sticking out your press, and anytime you decide to switch tool heads, it's in the way. With the KMS Squared, you can simply pull your pins and remove your tool head, and it stays attached. It's not in the way. The wires are all hidden. It really is a pretty great system that KMS Squared has. They're relatively cheap lights too. I think I paid ballpark like $27 shipped. So I bought it directly off their website. Ultimate Reloader has a code. I think his code's UR10 or something, but you might want to check his videos. Just look up Ultimate Reloader KMS Squared light, and you should find the video with the coupon code and all that stuff. So yeah, the light is a great addition because if you're manually feeding bullets or if you're running a bullet feeder, no matter really what you're doing, you want to look in there and try to keep an eye on your powder. I'm running a powder cop die, but I always like to do a visual inspection as well. So a light allows you to be able to see in there. And also, if you ever do have a stoppage or something hangs up, you have the light so you're actually able to look in there and see. It's just a really nice feature, and for $27, I think it's a worthwhile addition to the press. Alright guys, so the next accessory we're going to be talking about is the primer tube rack. Now, this is something I got off of eBay. I actually got the primer tube rack, as well as I got a bunch of these little pin kind of holders for your pins on your shell plate. And it really is a great addition. The biggest problem with the 750 for me is keeping primer tubes filled. You can pump out a lot of rounds on this, especially with a case feeder. And once you get in the groove, the biggest slowdown is going to be primer tubes. So I bought a bunch of extra primer tubes, and then I went on eBay and I bought this little holder that screws to the case feeder, so it keeps your tubes up there out of the way, and you can load, you know, I have 5 small pistol tubes, so I could load up 500 primers, plus, you know, put 100 in here, load up 500, I got 600 primers ready to go, 100 in the press and 500 on tap. So I could easily pump out 600 rounds without really any slowdowns or any hiccups. It only takes a second to pull these off and to bring them over here and dump the primers. Really nice addition. They just clip in and it works pretty good. I think between the primer tube holder and the little tabs, which I got like 10 of those tabs, I want to say it was around 15 bucks or so. So yeah, definitely a really nice addition to the press. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the tool caddy. So the tool caddy is pretty nice because it's going to give you all these different Allen wrenches. Now the 750 does come with a set of Allen wrenches, but the kit comes with these ones with a nice, you know, blue wrapped, you know, kind of 90 pieces, whatever. But the main reason why I bought the tool caddy was because it keeps all my tools there. I know what size they are. They're all labeled. And it also came with this wrench, which the open end will adjust your lock rings, and the closed end will adjust your primer or your powder drop. So this is really nice. This wrench itself is like 10 or 11 bucks plus shipping, or you could just get the whole tool caddy with all the tools and the wrench for like 30, 35. So I really do like the tool caddy. Is this a must-have? No, definitely not. However, it definitely is a nice addition to the press. Alright guys, so what we're going to talk about now is the roller handle. The roller handle seems to be universally loved with the Dillon presses. I really debated about getting the roller handle. I've always been okay with the ball handle and I didn't really see a reason to upgrade, but I figured I'd try the roller handle, and I'm actually glad I did. The roller handle, this spins, so whenever you're going down, you don't have to, you know, twist your hand like you would with the ball. It just rolls, and it's very, very smooth. It makes the press feel even smoother, and this is already a really smooth press. And then it gives you a little bit more, I guess I could call it like torque or whatever. It gives you a little bit more leverage, would probably be the proper word. But it makes seating primers and just the whole operation a little more effortless, and it feels better when you're loading a lot of rounds. This is about a $50–$55 accessory. Alright guys, so the last accessory that we're going to talk about for the XL750 is something that isn't specific to the XL750, and that is the inline fabrication bin barriers. So these bin barriers will work with any bin barrier. They have the different ones for all the different size bins. This is just, you know, the regular acro bin. However, they do make them for the big, like Dillon 1050, 1100, those big giant bins. So basically what these allow you to do is to fill up your hopper with a bunch more rounds. So if you ever start loading progressively on a press like this, you can really pump out a lot of rounds, and usually these things start overflowing when they get about half full. So this little $3.50 or whatever it is, $3–4 little bin barrier they call it, it just slides down in here and allows you to fill the bin all the way up. And yeah, these work with a bunch of the different bins. Check Inline Fabrication's website to make sure you get the right ones, and talk to Dan if you ever have any problems or anything like that. Dan over at Inline seems like a pretty great dude from all my experiences with him. But yeah, these, while not specific to the 750, are definitely something that I think you should get. They're only a couple bucks, and they allow you to actually fill up your bin to max capacity. Alright guys, so as you can see, you can definitely sink a lot of money and add quite a bit of accessories to the 750. Kind of hitting on the highlights here. Really do like the case feeder. When you get a case feeder, you're going to be pumping out a lot of rounds, so you're going to need the primer tubes. Another great addition, if you really want to pump out some rounds, is the bullet tray. Again, bullet tray puts the bullets there, and even if you're not using the bullet tray, if you're using a bullet feeder, it gives you something nice to prop your left hand on and gives you a little bit more leverage. The light is definitely something that I feel is a must-have for visual inspection and all that stuff. The strong mount's nice because it lifts it up and it allows you to use the bullet tray, and it's a very solid mount. The inline fabrication bin barriers allow you to fill up all your bins. The roller handle makes it pretty ergonomic. The tool caddy has all the tools there, and if you want one of these wrenches, it really kind of does make sense to just buy the tool caddy and be done with it. And then, yeah, I think we've pretty much hit on everything. Roller handle, inline fabrication, bin barriers, strong mount, tool caddy, bullet tray, case feeder, primer fill tubes, and holders, and then these little pin tabs. So yeah, there's a lot of great accessories that I have on this press. Do you need all this stuff? No, but it definitely does make it nice to have. Guys, thanks for watching the video. As always, remember to train hard, shoot fast, and most importantly, be safe. God bless.